What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today we're going to be taking a look at every single bow in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and come up with what are the best. There's going to be a total of 30 different types of obtainable bows in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, in which you, the player, can go around, use, collect, put on your wall, or just completely disregard because they're not good bows. And there's a number of bows that I'm just going to not be talking about because they are far outclassed or directly related to other bows. I'm talking about the old wooden bow and wooden bow, which are found at the beginning of the game. Those are starter bows, and they're typically not going to be showing up too much on your journey. When you're defeating bosses in temples, when you're going to be defeating mini bosses and high level bosses, you're going to be awarded experience that's not visible to you. So as you play through the game more and you do more things, you're going to accrue this experience, and these weapons are going to be scaling up, either in chests or in the overworld. It does not scale up the bows that are going to be found by enemies unless the enemy itself is also scaled up. However, it will also scale up the bow that's going to be located around Phoenix's neck. For example, the Traveler's Bow is going to become the Soldier's Bow, the Soldier's Bow is going to become the Knight's Bow, and the Knight's Bow is going to become the Royal Bow. So there's no reason for me to include all of these because they don't have any special attributes. I'm going to be removing them from the comparison in this video. Likewise, the Boko Bow scales to the Spiked Boko Bow and then the Dragon Bone. The Lazal Bow becomes the Strengthen, which becomes the Steel. The Lionel, Mighty, and Savage Lionel bows are all directly related between the different enemies that they're going to be found on. Also, the very rare occasions that you can find them in chests, they will scale up. The Construct Bow becomes the Strong Construct Bow, which becomes the Mighty Construct Bow. By the way, not related to the Zonai bow, and the Zonai bow is a fantastic bow. I'm going to talk about that more later. So the first grouping of bows that I would like to talk about are going to be your No-Frills Bows. There is nothing special about these bows really at all. And that's mostly going to be talking about their range, which is the default range of 20. Their durability, fuse power, and power are going to fluctuate, and they typically don't have any special attributes to them. So honestly, the most important part is going to be the power, in which case the Royal Bow is the best bow. It's a no-frills bow. It has a durability of 60, one of the best in the entire game between all of the classes. Which, by the way, you're going to be seeing fuse power in here. Fuse power means that if you were to drop a bow on the floor and then fuse that bow to a sword, how much additional damage that's going to be having. So it's completely not relevant for anything we're going to be talking about in this video. Because of that, the Steel Lazal bow just falls short to how good it is. The Dragon Bone Boko bow only has a durability of half, and when looking at its code here, it's going to be blunt, which is not a useful piece of information. Shield surfing slipperiness down, that means when you shield surf, you're not going to go as fast as you would if the shield didn't have it on there, so it's not a good thing to have. Shield bash animation change, that's neat. And bone, that's the only one that's really going to be applicable here. Bone means that if any time you have bone weapon proficiency, this bow is going to be doing times 1.8 damage. However, 24 times 1.8 is going to be 43.2, and then round that up to 44. It's slightly more powerful than the Royal Bow, but that requires you to go ahead and completely change your outfit. But a durability of half of it, I would say it's far outclassed. The Mighty Construct Bow has no notable things to talk about, a durability of half of the Royal Bow, power of less, and then the Zora Bow, while it does have a good durability of 40, its power is only going to be 20. Both of these fall short to the Royal Bow. The Royal Bow is hands down the best no-frills bow in the game. Most of the following categories are going to be having to do with range of your bows. All of the bows I've talked about up until this point are going to be a default range of 20. However, there's different values for different ranges of weapons. And in order to calculate, I decided to come here to the very center of the map at 0 by 0. I then took some local supplies and I made this area for archery testing, and I put this wheel at the end. The wheel is at the end because you're going to be seeing that pin off at the distance. Is going to be 2,000 meters away, but it's going to remain 0 on the Y scale. Therefore, if I shoot an arrow straight ahead, it's going to be as straight as possible, and as you can clearly tell, I've disabled motion controls. This Savage Lionel bow has a distance of 20, and we're going to be using that as our base point. Even though it shot 5 arrows, only the middle one is going to be staying on the ground. The Demon King bow has a range of 30, so we're going to go ahead and loose that. The Swallow bow has a distance of 40, so we're going to go ahead and loose that. And the Zonai bow is special because if you hold it down for a total of 3 cell charges, it's then going to get increased distance. So if we go ahead, hold it down, you're going to see the blue stuff happen. And then we go ahead and loose that. Let's mark where our arrows are. Our first arrow, which was for the distance 20 of the bows, is going to be at 48 meters away. Shortly after that, at a distance of 61 meters away, is going to be our range of 30. And slightly after that, at 65, is going to be the range of 40. We can see that there's a very large diminishing return going from 30 to 40 as opposed to 20. Now, if I were to aim up in the air, we would see some advantages to that 40 over 30 more so, but if we're just aiming straight ahead, there's not a very big difference. However, the Zonai bow managed to loose an arrow to 127 meters while shooting straight. So you can see right now that from 20 to 40 was not double the distance, but from 20 to the Zonai bow was about 2.5 times the distance. So if you want to have yourself a utility bow for shooting things far away, you're probably going to want some 20s, it doesn't matter if they're 30s, and you're definitely going to want one Zonite bow handy. Did I get that one in Goron City? No, I didn't get it yet. Perfect. This is going to be an amazing example of this. If we look off in the distance, we're going to be seeing a Korok balloon over here. If we go ahead and take out a range 20 bow like the Savage Lionel bow and aim it directly at it, nowhere near far enough. If we take out a range 30 bow and loose an arrow, nope. If we take out a range 40 bow, still no. But with the Zonai bow, after 3 cells, oh, it fell short, but you saw it hit the bridge, right? I think if I aim up, I can get this. Yep. That's the power of the Zonai bow. That's the reason you should always keep one in your inventory as a utility bow while you're going around and doing errands. So because of that, the Zonai bow is hands down the best long-range utility bow, bar none. So let's take a moment and look at the other long-range bows, and I'm going to be grouping all of the 30s and the 40s together. Because I'm using these long-range bows mostly for utility, in my opinion, durability is very important. There are some outliers to this that I'm going to be talking about now, but first is the Royal Guard's bow, which has a power of 50, but only has a durability of 20. And it only has a range of 30 as opposed to 40. So because of that, it's kind of outclassed in every way other than damage, but I really don't want to use a Royal Guard's bow for damage, and I don't think you do either. Looking at the 2 non-legendary Rito bows, being the Swallow bow and the Falcon bow, which by the way are unique bows that do not scale to each other. The Swallow bow only has a power of 8 and the Falcon bow has a power of 14. Both of them have a range of 40 and their durability is 30 and 35 respectively. However, they're unique because they're going to be having draw speed up. Now, the Royal Guard's bow also had draw speed up, which was 50% faster, and in my personal opinion, your ability to pull an arrow back and loose it slightly faster in a utility bow isn't that great. However, Swallow bows can actually be found regularly. While you're going through every blood moon over here, Rito Village, just north of that, in fact, next to the Rospo Pass Skyview Tower. Down here is going to be the Flight Range, which does have a side quest and a mini game inside of there. However, every either blood moon or random respawn interval, which means that as long as you're not here every minute, 1% chance for it to respawn, there's going to be a Swallow bow inside of there. It's a fantastic, cheap, 40 range weapon. Pick it up on your travels. Oh, and the Falcon bow, there's no random regular overworld spawn places for it. It can be in treasure chests. It could be in lakes in the Tabantha Hebra area, but you can't find it as regularly as you can that Swallow bow or the Dusk bow, and the Dusk bow is much better. The Dusk bow has a power of 30, 10 more durability than the Swallow bow, and still a range of 40. And you're going to be able to get them regularly at the highest spire of Hyrule Castle. All you have to do is make your way to the top, and inside of this crumble, you're going to be finding it here. So the Swallow bow and the Dusk bow are both going to respawn regularly, and the Dusk bow is better, so the Dusk bow beats that out. That leaves us with the 3 notable long-range weapons: the Dusk bow, the Demon King's bow, and the Great Eagle bow. The Great Eagle bow is the Rivali weapon from the Champions of Breath of the Wild that can only be obtained in this game if you take a Swallow bow to Tullin's dad after doing that portion of regional phenomena, it costs wood and diamonds in order to get it. It has a durability of 60, which is 1.5 times better than the dusk bow. Same exact range, it is a multi-shot bow of comparable damage. So because of that, yes, it's a lot better than the dusk bow, but at the price of diamonds. Now you can repair champions' weapons by taking out a regular sword or stick, dropping the Great Eagle bow on the ground, fusing the bow to the top of the stick, going to a Rock Octorok and having him fix it. But when it comes to utility bows, I just want to fly through them, know what I mean? The Demon King's bow is unique because it only has a range of 30 compared to 40, it has comparable durability. Its power though is very high. Once you're in the end game and you're going to be having max life and max stamina from completing all the shrines, like I have right here, by the way, in my opinion, the -2 hearts and the 3 full rings of stamina is complete hearts, because there's no reason to go for full hearts and not full stamina. Or you could be a monster and do 39 hearts and 2 4/5 rings of stamina, but there's no reason to do that either. The stamina goes much further than the hearts do. Once you achieve that, the Demon King's bow has a base power of 60, making it the most powerful single shot bow in the game. However, it's not as durable as the Royal Bow by about a third, and in order to get them, you're gonna have to go defeat Gloom Hands. And then after you defeat the Gloom Hands, you have to defeat Phantom Ganon. I only have 3 of them in my inventory right now because of the events at Hyrule Castle after regional phenomena, and because of those I have them, I'm never going to go out of my way for a Demon King's bow. So in range, it falls short. In durability, it falls short. In damage, it actually falls short to the Great Eagle bow because this is a 3-shot bow. We're going to talk about multi-shot bows later. So yeah, the Demon King's bow, it's nice to see that big number there. It's an okay utility one, but it kind of falls short on utility and it falls short on damage output. So here we have our best long-range reasonable bows. There are 2 special long-range bows to talk about, that being the Gerudo bow and the Fenric bow, because they have a unique note in here that is long-range bow, which means that while I have a regular bow out and I'm looking around, it's going to be like this, but if I have a Gerudo or Fenric bow, you're actually going to be zooming in to your target. So in addition to this being a range of 40 weapon, the same as a Swallow bow, I'm going to be able to zoom in and focus on my target better. So it's slightly better than those. The only problem is getting Gerudo bows and getting Fenric bows. There's not a super common place for them. In fact, I just looked it up. The Fenric bow isn't carried by any enemies. It's not an overworld spawn anywhere. It's only going to be placed in 5 treasure chests. If you want to go ahead and get yourself a Fenric bow, go for it, but you're not going to be able to find it regularly. The Gerudo bow you can find in the North Gerudo Ruins Gerudo Sanctuary after you go about and do the whole orb questline at Gerudo Village after the events of regional phenomena. So if you have one, cool. Honestly, you probably don't need zoom because of availability and not being able to find Fenric bows often. Gerudo bow's gonna win out. There is a special type of class of bow in the game which is called a rapid bow that is only held by the duplex bow, which is not good at anything. This is not good, okay? It's just a special note, so I figured I would throw it in here. If you have yourself a multi-shot bow like this 5-shot Savage Lionel bow, it's going to be spreading out those arrows the further away that they fly. However, the rapid bow is a 2-shot bow that is going to be shooting them in the same location, one after another. There is a very good use for the duplex bow. While you're going around and adventuring, if you're seeing these Yiga foot soldiers, take them out, get their duplex bow, and get their 6 rupees, sunflower, and mighty banana from them. But the Korok puzzles that involve the balloons that are moving, having this rapid bow doing 2 shots at the exact same location, half a second apart, can actually be the difference between you hitting that balloon and not hitting that balloon. While it's out on your adventures, if it's there, go for it. Also, at a range of 40, not a bad bow for utility. I wouldn't ever go out of my way to get one, but if it's going to be presented to me while I'm out on an adventure, 100%. So if we now go ahead and exclude the rapid bow from spread multi-shot bows, that only leaves us with 2 in the entire game. That's the Forest Dweller's bow and the Savage Lionel bow. Since a Rock Octorok can't suck up a Great Eagle bow and then spit it out with a modifier, that's automatically going to exclude the Great Eagle Bow from being able to be a 5-shot bow. Because of that, I'm only really going to be looking at these two. The Forest Dweller's Bow is harder to get, it's made out of wood, it's not as durable, it's not as powerful, it's not good, it loses in every single way. The Savage Lionel Bow, which can be a 3-shot or a 5-shot, has a power of 32 and a fuse power of 8. And it has a durability of 45, one of the best durabilities in the entire game. If you were to factor in all 5 of your shots landing on the same target of a power of 32, that's going to be a power of 160. After now giving the duplex bow its double damage because it's a 2-shot, it's now a 28, which falls short to the Gerudo bow that we weren't using for damage in the first place. But the Savage Lionel bow is here at 160 compared to the Royal bow that I was just singing its praises at the beginning of the video, which has a power of 38. The only issue of it is its range. However, because you're using a multi-shot bow, you want to be as close as possible because you want all of your hits to hit. Or you're going to be high up in the air and you want a large spread if you're using bomb arrows or elemental things. It's so good that I'm also going to put the 3-shot multi-bow in here as well. You're going to have a damage output of 96, durability still of 45. So yes, getting that extra 2-shot is fantastic. If you can't kill something in 96 power with 45 durability, then that extra bit of power isn't going to help you. The insane amount of power that you can have from a 5-shot multi-bow is so huge that here at this encampment, if I were to go ahead and just aim on this one bokoblin, that's going to take out 1/3 of his health. Or one of my other favorite uses of these multi-shot bows is the massive range that gems have, which if you haven't tried to actually put a gem on one of your weapons before, these elemental gems are going to cover such a huge area once all 5 of them land that you could clear out this entire encampment before touching the ground. Except for, you know, those ones that I didn't see because I was busy explaining instead of actually properly shooting. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, every time there's a blood moon, if you come here and clear this out, you get 100 rupees from that. There are 4 treasure chests in the entire world which can have Lionel bows in them. I know for a fact one of them is going to be right by the Lake of the Horse God, not this tree, this enemy encampment right here. For the record, here's the Highland stable, and inside of there is going to be a Lionel bow that can scale up based on your experience to a mighty or a savage. And there is one mighty bow in the entire game, which is going to be inside of the Cape Kale's Cliff Base Cave. This is where you may have come for a piece of Tingle armor. And inside of here at the forward crow's nest of the ship is going to be one chest with a mighty Lionel bow that can scale up to a savage Lionel bow. Other than that, you could just get them from all of the Lionels all over the game, which I previously made a video on how you can go about Lionel farming and get yourself a whole bunch of these bows. So in summary, what are the best bows in Tears of the Kingdom? For damage, the 5-shot multi-Lionel bow. Coming in second place is the 3-shot multi-Lionel bow. In third place is going to be the Great Eagle bow. These are the 3 most powerful bows as far as damage output in the entire game. Your best No-Frills Bow is going to be the Royal Bow with a durability of 60 and a power of 38. Your best long-range bow is going to be the Dusk Bow, except for the Zonai Bow, which has a significantly further amount of damage at the cost of your battery. The best rapid bow is the only one in the game at the duplex bow, and the best zoom bow is going to be the Gerudo bow. And let me know which piece of weaponry that you want to see me cover in the next episode of tearing down weapons and stuff in Tears of the Kingdom. Great, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, Austin John out.